All right, everybody, welcome back. This is Tales from the Flipside. This is 242, I believe. I wasn't here last week, but I'm here this week, and it looks like we have a bunch of news, a big market report. I don't know what else I can talk about my vacation and the double infinity pools and whatever else I was into. So
You
let's
got
go.
pictures?
I have them on my phone. I should text them to you. I didn't text them to you. I will. Here we go. Dude, I stayed in this like 12-story mansion, dude. It was insane. 12 or not 12-story, 12 bedroom, 12 and a half bathroom, 4-story fucking mansion. It was crazy, dude.
That's what happens when you're the CEO.
Yeah, people. No, that's all the flip side money I make. Yeah. So basically, I didn't do any comic book hunting though. I was kind of depressed.
Damn, listen.
Yeah.
I'm like, the thought of being like, say, on a tropical beach, that bores the shit out of me. I'd rather be in like the roughest section of town searching for comics. At this point.
It was the only thing bad about it was I was on the golf, so I was cool golf in Mexico. But basically, they had like these flies that bite, and it only happens 3 weeks out of the whole year. And of course, it was one of the weeks was when I was down there. So
Are they called piranha flies or something?
I don't know what the fuck they're called. Assholes, little assholes. So hopefully, we don't get kicked off YouTube for that. But yeah, basically, it's terrible stuff. But I'm just glad that the hurricane missed me. I feel for everybody who did get hit by the hurricane in Florida. Not good. I saw pictures of some of my people's. Not good. But hopefully everybody's safe. Hopefully everybody's healthy, I guess. And with that somber note, we'll move on to
man. That's a bad segue. That's awful.
It's terrible. It's terrible. Not as terrible as me and Carter going to New Jack City Live. It's gonna be dope. I can't wait.
In Detroit.
So Armor Wars moved to a theatrical release for Marvel Studios. So
well,
yeah.
okay.
Are we surprised? So let's talk about
this. It's supposed to be a series, right?
Yeah, yes. I thought it was supposed to be on TV, right?
Yep, it was supposed to originally be a series. And actually, if you look back at the timetables of when things were supposed to happen, it's taking the slot of what would have been when Fantastic Four was supposed to originally release.
So the question is, did they just need something? Did they decide they didn't have enough stories for a series? Did they just revamp? I mean, it's interesting to switch it from a series, which I would assume was at least 4 hours to 6 hours, to a 2-hour movie.
I mean, I think with the people who are coming back for it, because at this point, let's call it like it's a given that Justin Hammer, Sam Rockwell's coming back for it. They've mentioned that what's his face's character from, or there's been rumors that what's his face's character from Ant-Man and the Wasp, what's that dude's name? He's got a Walton Goggins character. Is playing a role in this movie. Probably he was working for Sam Rockwell, Justin Hammer the whole time. There's a rumor that White Vision will make an appearance because he's technically Stark Tech as well.
And that's Sonny Birch, right?
Yeah, I believe that's what the character's name was. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I think with the cast that they have and the fact that like Cheadle is an award-winning actor, hasn't got a chance to lead his own movie yet. He's been loyal. I mean, he came in on time and under budget type situation when Terrence Howard was like trying to like get more cash out the deal for the sequel. Mm-hmm. I think this is kind of like a loyalty play. It's just like, hey man, you've always been there. You've always been like part of the ensemble, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Like, give them the hookup. And also too, like things are slipping. Blade slipping is clearly going to slip now. There's probably some other stuff that needed to be shifted around. They're just like, hey, we need to get something. We've got a lot of stuff going to television. We don't have a whole lot of things to fill movie slots. Let's get a cheap win.
And I don't think Kevin needs to really be on this like full on. I think he trusts Cheadle. Like he's been in Marvel movies. He kind of knows how they all kind of know how the whole production goes. So.
Yeah.
Good. Solid win for Marvel right there.
Okay, so they got.
Are we rushing to theaters for it?
I mean, I enjoyed Sam Rockwell. I'm
gonna go see it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just saying, is the general person rushing?
I mean, it all depends on how well people respond to probably Riri's appearance in Black Panther. If that goes over well and people are clamoring for it, then it's definitely going to have people showing up for those purposes. I mean, yeah, I just it all depends on. Also, it depends on how Secret Wars goes because Shield plays a role in that. I mean, I just think it's contingent upon a bunch of things, whether or not people are going to be excited for this. I think on paper, probably not really at the moment, but that's always really subject to change with a good trailer, a good plot point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can bring people over to your side very quickly.
Throw a couple of guest cameos, and you're cooking with gas.
Or God forbid they pull a armored up Punisher into this, throw something like that in the trailer. Oh yeah. People are showing up just to see something like that.
How many Tony Stark flashbacks do you think we get?
I mean, it's going to be like watching Thomas and Martha Wayne die. Like it's going to be like every 10 minutes you're going to see Tony like flashbacks.
They're like, just throw him in there. We paid him. Throw him in there.
Exactly.
So this is already shot.
No. They haven't started shooting yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Even better.
Next we got Grendel series not going forward at Netflix. Could be shopped elsewhere.
Yeah.
For me, well, you know what's funny is I know our loyal friend Mr. Matt DeVoe. I think this is one of those things that Netflix kind of grabbed it so nobody else could grab it, and now it'll be interesting if it gets shopped and picked up. I mean, shopped is one thing, but getting picked up is a whole different ball game. He used to tell us that, you know, people do this where they just like, hey, I'm going to get it so nobody else can get it. And then basically they just let it ponder and die, and then nobody else really picks it up at the end, you know?
Yeah. I mean, this has been a story in Hollywood going back as far as like the 80s where it's like, well, we just don't want anybody else to make this because it hurts our thing. So, I mean, actually, I was listening to something recently where they were talking about the those like Incredible Hulk spinoffs in like the 80s and early 90s, and legitimately the reason why the Daredevil spinoff never happened is because somebody bought the rights to it. I don't remember which channel, but they bought the rights to it and just shelved it because it was going to conflict with their something, you know, comic book action TV show that they were coming out. Oh, The Flash. So the Daredevil was going to go up against the Flash live action at the time. So they were like, we want to be the only show in town. So they bought the rights to Daredevil or bought dude's contract and then just like shelved it so that the Flash would happen and Daredevil wouldn't.
Damn.
Vicious.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Grendel's one that people have been thinking is going to come for a while. It could be done well. It just, you know, getting out of Netflix is always a bad hit.
Yeah.
I mean, Amazon, you know, could do it justice. Like they've got the ratings and the money, and you know they're willing to have a hard R or a TVMA on something. HBO is just not in the business of acquiring. I mean, they can't get their own show off the ground, let alone acquire somebody else's. So that's it's
too small for HBO almost, though.
Yeah, but yeah, I could definitely see this, like, you know, or even maybe AMC to a certain degree. I mean, they're running out of shit at this point. I mean, we're into the last like 5-10 episodes of Walking Dead at this point. So
you're right. I just don't know where it's going.
Yeah, it just hurts for anybody who's got a comic like myself who acquired one last week. So
somebody's saying this show's already filmed, the whole thing?
No.
Is that what James is saying?
No.
All 8 episodes are in the can, huh?
Wow.
Yeah. That
feels like an easy win for somebody then.
Yeah.
Either that or it's a terrible fucking mess.
Yeah. This is sad news. I guess, and maybe it might be turned to good news, but Blade loses director. I heard and I heard also things, whispers in the wind, I'll call it, that like the action scenes in Blade were like, there was like 2, and it was like 3 minutes long. And did you hear about that too?
Yeah, Mahershala is apparently people who are close to him are like he is not happy. He was like, "This is Blade is coming back after what 20 years of nothing. Like we need to come out and like really make this thing like worthwhile." And he was not impressed with the script. So yeah, there's a lot of like turmoil happening behind the scenes, but also at the same time, like this is what happens when a writer and director are not allowed to pick the actor that they want for like when you try to pull a Lakers and build a team around a star player, like there might be some conflicts, there might be some personality stuff that just when you don't get to pick your team.
Well, this is like hiring a head coach and then hiring a GM after, and then the GM picks everybody who the head coach doesn't want, right? And you're like, I got nothing here, you know.
Yeah, and the fact that like it's a month before, so one of the shows, again, I will not take credit for this idea because they are the ones who like mentioned it, but shout out to the Ringerverse and everything that they do. Van Lathan brought up a very valid point that bailing basically 1 month before shooting means that like he tried to suck it up. He tried to just be like, okay, let me just get through this. And it just was so unbearable that he was like, F it, I'm out 1 month before production started. So like that's really a bad sign because it's one thing to bail in like a couple months into you becoming the guy and being like, this ain't really working out, or even 4 or 5 months, but like this has been in the works for because they announced that before COVID. So yeah, going on almost 3 years of this being in the works for him to bail a month before production started. So
maybe Ali was method acting as Wesley Snipes and just saying I'm not going to do it. I'm going to close my eyes on this fucking table and you can draw him in.
Well, I mean, he's got power. Like, I mean, he's definitely going to be an executive producer on it. I mean, he was coming off of being an Oscar, had just won the Oscar. Like his name carries as much cachet as any, like honestly, more than the director does. Because I don't even know who this dude really is.
Mm-hmm.
Like Mahershala Ali, like this is Mahershala Ali's Blade, and then whoever the hell else was in the movie. Like, let's be real about it. So, I mean, yeah, that also can play a part too, because like you having to run things by your star, when he's like, this just isn't what I wanted out of this film, and he's more important at the end of the day than the director is. So this guy they ran the same jargon that they always do when a director, severs, cuts ties with a film. So I don't know if the dude quit or if homeboy got fired. Like,
well, and Kevin didn't step in the mend fences either, right? I mean, he wasn't like, oh, maybe he was doing it, maybe I don't know, but it's like one of those things, like, Hey,
man, this director looked butter soft.
Oh boy,
good riddance.
Oh boy. So this is gonna push back.
So Marvel's gonna call in Tiki. Is that where we're at?
Maybe.
Nah, because it sounds like he's done too. For like, unless something magical happens, it sounds like he's done too. With, I mean, there was there was joking quotes of, well, maybe we could go get Sam Raimi and he could make the movie that he really kind of wanted to make with Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah,
because he's got a horror background. So,
I mean, I don't know if he's the right fit either, though.
Probably not.
Who did Peacemaker? I know, was it an individually director for each episode? Is that what it was?
No, that was 100% Gunn.
Did they bring Gunn in then?
No, he's done. He's fucking done. like one thing that I 100% could tell from sitting in Hall H when they ran that, he ain't coming back. Like, This is that was the last thing that he's doing. He fulfilled his contractual obligation.
Not even they back up the Brinks truck for him. Like, yo, man, just name a number.
I just think he's just so over being told what to do or having to run stuff by people in mainstream Hollywood. Because you got to take consideration, like, dude started out his career in Hollywood doing trauma films and doing like these offbeat indie stuff. Oh, and also I doubt he watches the show, but shout out to James Gunn. Congratulations on getting married to his girlfriend of 7 years over the weekend. So
nice. Good segue. This is.
But I mean, Gunn has almost complete autonomy at fucking DC at this point. Like,
yeah. So he has
you can do whatever you want, buddy,
to come back, and he can bring all his friends over too, because he's already doing it. All those people are already showing up in DC stuff anyway.
You work with who you want to work with. We're just gonna let you do your thing.
Our one of our esteemed guests who's been on the channel many a times, Look at Matt Nelson made a thumbnail. Mr. Matt Nelson is handling the Gray's Almanac of CGC, I guess. They're doing the CGC guide to grading comics. So,
ooh-wee.
Yeah.
Another one.
Apparently, it's got their grading standards in it.
Yeah.
They got a what?
I said apparently it's finally like publicly releasing like their what goes into their grading standards.
I mean, it's amazing to me because pretty much feels like it's been guesswork for 20 years.
Yeah.
The arbitrary guide.
Oh boy, here we go.
I think it'd be interesting though when you go back and look and go, okay, so why'd you do this?
Yeah.
I mean, it also means that now people can finally like really start gaming the system. Like people are already doing it before, but now like you really may know exactly like how to step around. Knowing exactly what they look for, how they're testing for things, if they're releasing that information. So
I tell you what, I think I'm still gonna say it. I've said it for years. ETA Nick had the best. I mean, set of videos just going off of CGC grading and just observing trends that he had seen. Like, I learned so much from there of like, okay, staples, all those weird things. We all understand what looks like a good book versus not, but all those interior bullshit and all the, how big is this crease and all that thing that wasn't consistent with Overstreet. He did a fantastic job, and I would love to compare how close is that to this.
Well, copies will be available at the booth number 3000 at NYCC this weekend, and then you'll be able to buy it, I think, online after. So,
how much? What's the retail?
Well, okay, so no one knows. Hold on, I was trying to look at it. So yeah, it says you can pre-order sales from a website will begin immediately after NYCC. So, they don't say. I should have.
I mean, I assume based on every other grading book, it's $30-$40.
Yeah, I would assume so too. So, chat, if anybody in chat knows, hit us up in the chat so we can figure it out.
Hopefully, their creators will actually read it.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
So interesting. Maybe we get Matt on. We can talk about it. Maybe he'll gracious with his presence.
What's funnier if you actually submitted that to CGC or CBCS for grading?
PGS.
Well, no. CGC, and then you get a slab of your slab of the CGC. Yeah, that's what it's about. Right here, Moon Knight. No big surprise here. Renewed for season 2. So
yeah, right. I fell asleep on that shit, and then I didn't even bother watching the final episode. I'm like, this is not good.
Yeah, I mean, it was just good. It wasn't a lot of Moon Knight. I think that's what, right? A lot of people hated that part of it, right? It was a
lot of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. We'll see what happens come season 2. I don't think this was like this one any of like the limited series award stuff, because that's kind of bullshit for you to be like, oh, it's the only season we're doing. It's a limited series, and then you win the award for limited series, and you go, well, actually, we're gonna make another season. So, oops. But I mean, they're doing Midnight Suns. Let's be real about it. Like, if you already don't own some of those books, like this is one of those things where I keep talking about the synergy in Marvel for once seems to be trying to attempt to sell things other than movie tickets. Like, they're trying to move games, whether it be, mobile device games or, the stuff that's coming out for, the major platforms, or even books into a certain degree, because they just changed Agatha Harkness's design in the comics to match her television portrayal. So, them having the Midnight Suns game come out, and then them doing the Midnight Suns comic, and then, having, Ghost Rider seemingly be top tier of importance right now. I wouldn't be surprised if we see an announcement about, us finally getting back to a Ghost Rider movie within the next year or so. But yeah, like the occult side of things, I think is a good place to throw your money into. It's on the downswing, maybe not Moon Knight, but there's other places to get books for cheap. There are also Bloodstones and things like that. So,
and I think there's opportunity to mine this property. Like, did it go over how everybody wanted? No, but there's still potential in Moon Knight being an interesting show.
Yeah.
Going back to this one, so if I get Matt Nelson, they said it's 30 for a paperback, 40 for a hardcover. So if I get Matt Nelson to sign it, can I get an SS?
Only if it's witnessed.
Yeah,
I mean, probably.
If he witnesses it, I think it's no. So Todd McFarlane, Mr. McFarlane, the Todd father, says that Spawn movie update tomorrow. I love that he drew it like in.
Yeah, I was just
art, like Microsoft Art, like.
Yeah, this is MS Paint. Like this is what this is right here, and it's like, okay. I don't know.
I don't feel like there's ever actually been a real update in years.
Yeah, not since they made the announcement that Jamie Foxx was involved and was the one kind of pushing things, and like there was a whole.
But that's like 3-4 years ago, right?
Yeah. That was right before the last signing.
Is Spawn movie? Is this a big update? It's not going to happen. Is that what it is? Like, yeah. It'll be interesting when he says tomorrow. We'll post up on Instagram. I'll have a glorious Instagram troll do it.
I mean, it'll be interesting if they finally are just like, hey, we finally got the money, and they're going to let us do it exactly how we want to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? But like, it is interesting though the timing, because the last time there was a big announcement was going into right before his CGC signing and right before the release of 300. That was when we were getting all the news, and now there's another CGC signing and another Spawn related book, milestone major type of book about the release in the form of Spawn Batman 2. So
yeah,
it just seems the timing seems awfully suspicious. So.
We got a little Secret Wars. So,
yep, Michael Waldron.
Yep.
I mean, I'm excited about this. Like, I liked Loki. So, for anybody who that name means jack squat to you, Michael Waldron wrote Multiverse of Madness. He was the creator of Loki, so he's responsible for the official introduction of a Kang variant into the multiverse, the true official introduction of the multiverse into the MCU. And now he's basically pinning the most difficult juggling of movies that's going to come out of the multiverse. So I made in our little internal chat, I made the reference that this feels very much so like a Hickman scenario, or somebody else who pinned this massive overarching, this is the direction of comics for the next 5 years. And I mean, it works. Like, the reason why Feige has been successful is because it is a centralized vision being guided by one person, telling people what they need to see in their stuff. If you have the movies that are the most kind of linchpin for guiding that vision be created by one person, only one person's got to keep up with the continuity issues, and they can see things and tell people, hey, you need to make this reference in the end of your movie. You need to just make this happen because this is what I'm planning to do for my Secret Wars movie, 3.5-4 years from now. So
go. You're more hip to this than I am. A little Spider-Man toy that got him released. The Spot has been found with a description of villain that reads, if the Spot can realize the true power of his abilities, he could become a threat to the entire universe. So
yeah, I mean, it's funny because this movie would have been coming out this month if it hadn't got pushed.
Yep.
So you can't back up production on stuff like this. So the toys got made and they're just gonna be sitting on shelves for the next year, and everything else like that T-shirts and stuff that were printed or sent to printers and mass and stuff like that, or they're just gonna be sitting waiting to be shipped out to your Walmarts and your Amazons. But this is more so just to remind people, don't forget about something like this. You're not going to be able to go out and get you a cheap copy of Ultimate Fallout 4, but there may be opportunity for you to grab, just start thinking bigger picture about who are the other Spider-Men that can still make an appearance here. Because, I mean, Noir got love for about a solid 6 months after the last movie came out. Anything's possible. There's opportunity to make money.
That book still sells decent too.
Yeah, people are big on the Spider-Man stuff, and I don't know. I mean, it's one of the few Spider-Man things that's been consistent, like that was done extremely well. So I've got high hopes that the sequel will be solid. So when I saw this, I was just like, oh yeah, like if you find first appearances of Miguel out there in the wild, you scoop them up. Like they're still relatively cheap now because people forgot, and we're waiting another year. So
I mean, Marvel continues to do well with Spider-Man. My 2-year-old nephew is Spider-Man for Halloween, and he has all the stuff from the little animated shorts they have. The little I don't even know what it's called, but it's like the 2-minute Spider-Man shows.
yeah.
That version is all over their house.
Nice.
So.
I do watch that too. So
yeah.
The main thing for the thumbnail is I didn't make the whole video. You can watch it on Mr. Reynolds' Instagram. But our man Hugh Jackman, the Wolverine, he's coming back to Deadpool 3.
Yeah, this happened like right after last week's show, right?
Yes.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
They waited for our show to end and then they put it. I mean, thanks for Ryan to do that for us. I mean, I know
they didn't want to let us ruin it. I just have to say, like, whether it's him, whether his PR team, they are the most savvy people in social media.
Oh, absolutely.
I've been watching his Welcome to Wrexham on football for Hulu, and he is a marketing genius. Like, he's like, oh, we don't have enough money, so I'll just do all these goofy ads that nobody, that'll just sell out big stuff. So it'll be interesting for me because it's like, I know they're pretty much best friends, great friends, whatever you want to call it. Did he do it as a favor? Did he just throw the Brinks truck and was like, hey, we're doing it, and blank check it?
Well, he always said that, like, if he could be a part of the MCU and be an Avenger, then he would come back and do it. I mean, we probably won't see him again in any type of outside of this movie. We probably will not see him again until Secret Wars. But I have a sinking suspicion that Secret Wars is going to be like, it's an opportunity for them to hit the reset. It's an opportunity for them to basically play on nostalgia. I mean, hell, to the point where, like, I was going to just like stick this book up and let it rip on auction, but now I'm kind of a hold on it because I was like, oh, this is never going to happen. But now with things like Secret Wars happening, it's like, well, that person can easily come back in Secret Wars. That person can come back in Secret Wars. And that person could be in Secret Wars. So, like, that scene, just for fan service, could easily just be thrown up on the screen. So it's like everything's kind of in play now with the ability to snatch a character from somewhere randomly in the multiverse. I mean, we're not saying that they'll come back from the dead because they're trying to have death still have stakes and matter. But to have that in-game moment where you have the Avengers assemble and you see like all the Spider-Men, if they've introduced Miles at this point, if we've gotten our true going forward X-Men we're definitely will have our going forward X-Men at that point. So you have the old X-Men side by side with the shitty nobody cared X-Men from Apocalypse and the new X-Men. Like, something like that will definitely be like a great fan service moment. So
no, I don't know this because I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but they're saying I just typed in when did Wolverine join the Avengers? It said New Avengers 6 from 2005. Is that right?
Yeah,
right before the Illuminati showed up, basically.
He's all over the cover of #1 in like a couple of the variants.
Mm-hmm.
But
is that a book we watch? I guess I don't know.
I mean, everything's a watch at this point. Like, I had somebody, I was hanging out at my LCS this weekend, and somebody brought in a bunch of like non-key Wolverine books. And I was flipping through, and somebody was looking through the box. I was like, you probably want to take this one. You probably want to take this one. You probably want to take this one, to somebody who was interested in buying them. But I was like, everybody's on 88 right now, but here's an annual that's like a really good Wolverine Deadpool cover.
And I might even have an 88 in a box, dude. I didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, Leg had just sent 2 of mine off to be, because I was like, oh, this will happen eventually. So, like, Leg had a order of 50 of mine from back, like, right after San Diego. And of course, those 2 were like 2 of them were in the box that went off that just went to CGC. But
I got a question. I got a question for y'all.
What up?
What the heck? What do I do with this? What do I do with this?
Sell
Stick
to
it
me
up.
for $1? No.
I mean, what's the going rate on it right now?
You know what? I don't know.
I saw a
legit-
9.4 sell on Instagram or something.
Uh,
I don't know what it was for though. He didn't put the price in. Let me look. I mean, shit, dude. I mean, just put some crazy number on it, right? It's one of those books that you just put a crazy number on and let it, right? I mean,
yeah, I actually had it up for like a minute, and then I took it off, and then I had a bunch of people ask me, "Oh, what did you sell it for?" And I'm like,
yeah.
didn't sell it yet." But I don't know, because I'm thinking, like, take it to a proper auction house or just put it up on eBay. You know, I don't know.
I mean, for as big of a book as it is, so if you have I'm assuming you have an eBay store, so your fees will cap on it. So that's why it actually makes more sense to sell a bigger book through eBay because your fees cap.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, if it's going to go for like dumb money, like take it to the auction house, because again, like one of those hasn't come up in a while. You can go negotiate a damn good rate with Heritage, who like I'd say Heritage. I mean, yeah, I love the other ones, but like for a book like that, because it just doesn't come up often, they'll definitely stake it in the next copy of what's coming, that they mail out to everybody who's ever bought from them. So it'll get people chomping at the bit, like. But I mean, unless you really want to keep it for forever, like right now / first trailer is going to be the time to like let it rip.
What year is that in? What year is that Wolverine one from? Was it
This is 2010.
Okay. Because let's look. I'm just looking. I'm just GPAing it, kind of. So a 9.6 sold for $1,500 way back in the day. That's January 2022. 2,700, 3,700, 34 grand. I mean, ugh.
I mean, it's probably at this point north of a $5,000 book.
Yeah. So last sale for that was 6,500 back in October 2021.
Okay.
And there hasn't been one since. I mean, it was high as 7,300 eventually.
I remember a few months ago somebody had one of these 9.8 for like 10. I think it was like 10,000.
9,995 April 30th, 9,300 August 14th.
Yeah, but I don't think it sold, right?
Well, it's according to GPA it did, but I don't know if it actually went. And then 6,500 back in October, so trending down. But like people say, 10 grand. Like people are saying trade for the Auto. I don't know. I mean, like, do you trade? Do you just take that somewhere and trade for a bunch of smaller books? It's one of those things. But like, or do you just take the cash and
I mean, you can.
That's one of those books you're never going to find again. I hate to say,
right?
Yeah, right. That's the other thing.
I mean, you can get people to pay out. Like, again, I know somebody who just unloaded a TMNT 1 first print. Or will be. I think the deal went through in the last 24 hours. Like they're out there. So, I mean, you've got a social media network. Honestly, I would leverage it and do a wire transfer. And then I mean, you're at the point from a following standpoint that you don't need to go through an eBay. You could just leverage, your social media following and be like, I got this book.
Tales from the Flipside and put it up for 5%, I mean,
somebody somewhere will see it. Like it'll get reshared. It'll get something. The right person will see it. And
honestly, and if you throw it up there, we'll share it on all our shit too. So we don't care.
Okay. Yeah, I keep forgetting. Because
the world of Instagram, dude. I mean, Instagram. That's why I tell people too. Like, I got an Instagram too, man. Just do it. That's why I got that Wolverine JTC from when me and you did, Carter. I mean, I just did on Instagram. No big deal. Man.
All you gotta wait for Ryan Reynolds to throw a claw on, though, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's the thing too. Is like, man, list for 10K. I would say even more, man. Just
it's
one of those, like
12,
it's one of those books.
Fuck it.
Yeah, it's one of those books you're never gonna see again, and like you want to be like, oh, I sold it for big money, and I can walk away and feel happy. Not like, oh, I knew it was gonna be 20 grand or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is. I mean, it's the equivalent of like
you have Ford Jerkovich, but way rarer.
Yeah, it's like a Saga or Batman or RRP type of book. Like it's
Remember, you had to. This is the one that Barger was telling me, right? You had to like you clip in all those covers, right, to get that cover. So it wasn't like one of those things where it was like it's a retailer only, or or something like retailers got it. Or it's even rarer than that because most people didn't do that. Like,
yeah, true. Yeah, this is more like that Nabisco, like Wolverine 100 type of situation.
Which I would love to see that book. What's that book going for?
It pops up once in a while, but I don't think I've seen a 9.8.
Yeah, I've only seen 9.6s.
Well, even 9.6s. An 8.0 sold. Well, that's way back in August 28th.
Remember, AC had a 9.4 maybe at one point.
Yeah, September 29th is already at 1,300. Do you got any rolling right now? Nope. Oh,
I mean, I usually, if I see one sell, I throw it in the market report, and I haven't seen one in a while.
Somebody has a 9.6 right now listed for 2 Gs, 8.5 for 1,600, 9.4 for 2,500. So, yeah. Wow, it's crazy. So, all right. That's all I got for the market report. Or the news. You want to go on the market report, my man?
Yeah, you want to start with my favorite or end with my favorite? Let's start with it because we're talking how to sell big book.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
I don't always pull Heritage, but this was pretty much the belle of the ball in the foreign community.
Yep.
We were all watching this, thinking it was going to go for 3 or 4K. This is a 2.5 raw grade on Heritage of the famous wedding issue. Went for 15.5 out of fucking nowhere. Live bidding hitting it jumped from 3K to 13K to 15K in no time. So pretty well surprised the shit out of everybody. Apparently this book has hit a little bit of mainstream consciousness. So it made my day because, well,
I mean, yeah, I mean, because you got
I got the 9.2. I mean,
so are you sending it in now, or you think it's a one-off coincidence?
No, it's not a coincidence. I just haven't figured out if the world is there or not. I'd love to see another sale. So we'll see. But
I mean, I'll send the lower grade one in and see what happens.
I'll probably be talking to Heritage. I know the guy with the 8.5. There's an 8.5 CBCS floating around. He's also thinking about it, so I may let him take a hit. I don't know.
I mean,
it's one of those. Only 6 graded copies total, and there's not a lot more known ungraded. So at least in the U.S. market.
This was on my radar, so I've been making more regular trips down to Mexico because I've got people down there now. So I will be back down in like Oaxaca probably later this year in like November. I'm on I ain't a foreign dude, but I'm on the lookout for this book now because I'm in country with people who speak fluent Spanish. So I'm like, yo, where can I find this book? I will find them.
It's just they're not as prevalent as anything U.S. just because just human conditions and paper and just didn't keep things like this as a general thing. I mean, definitely some people did, but it's not.
How do you know that? I mean, I guess how do you know that's the real one compared to other ones?
What do you mean?
Is there other ones? Because there's a
lot of reprints.
Oh, okay.
But you'll know. I mean, it's 1970s versus all the reprints are in the last 4 years. Yeah. But it's also only 14. It's one page less than a U.S. book.
Is it a trade paperback kind of thick?
It's thin. It's thin. It's actually 14 folds, 15. It's thinner for some reason. I have no idea why. But the pages are numbered, so it's not missing. It just is. But I mean, again, it's newsprint. It's thin. It's tiny. There have been a lot of collectors looking for it for a long time, whether U.S. or international, and not to say there's none, but not a lot pop up, even in Mexican and other Hispanic Facebook only groups, maybe one pops up a year. It just doesn't come up. So,
see, the thing is though, like from what I've just noticed from bouncing around the world a little bit and being in places, like the people who have this book or may know where to find this book they ain't on social media. They're not on Facebook. They like you were stumbling into a random hole in the wall like knick-knack shop or like vintage store or like old dirty mag. Like I went down a random side street of like vintage stuff where like if we were gonna find one, it would have been like at least in Mexico City.
Are you ready? Are you ready? I bought one for $70. Is that it?
Yeah. That is the fan one.
Damn it. Okay. Oh,
hey, will you pull up Michael's comment?
It's got the hologram.
Ask him what that is.
What that is? Oh, sorry. Hold on a second. What issue is this?
Yeah.
What the actual issue number is?
Number 128.
Yeah, 128.
Yeah, some people might not know.
Oh, sorry.
So it is the part of the non-canon La Prensa run. There's 44 unique stories and covers done by Duran as the artist, who like to draw really thick Gwen Stacy.
So how do you know? Okay, so how do you know again? This is you said the
that's got a hologram on it.
Up here, you mean?
Yeah, I think that's the La Mole one.
Yeah, and the price on it as well wasn't on the other copy.
Okay. I mean, there's a lot you could tell in life. I mean, there's an American version, there's a German version, there's a Mexican version now. Most of them you can tell.
Yeah, in Mexico, Gwen Stacy lived.
Correct. This is the
dream sequence. And they kept making comics and
basically the Mexican audience was so feverish for Spider-Man. They started printing a little late, but they were releasing it bi-weekly instead of monthly, and at some point they got ahead of Marvel, so they started filling in their own stories. They also were not a fan of Gwen dying.
Yeah, I was gonna say I actually brought this up in conversation because I talked about this book being super rare when I was having dinner with people down there who are, native-born Mexican, and they were just like, it matches what you would expect, at that time for people to be into. They were going to be less likely to be into like a redhead than they would to be into a blonde like character like that. So like they were talking about, it makes complete sense with like culturally, what would have been like, rare and desirable back then to have a character like that continue on versus a redhead.
There's also some stories that the non-canons at one point were not as collected by true collectors, because they're like, this is not a Marvel story. It wasn't an oddity then. It was just like this is not as good as what they were doing in the US book. So they are definitely harder to find. I don't know why. I don't know to what extent. I mean, it's really tough to tell. We definitely have some connections to some of the significant collectors in Mexico. Not to say that there's not some definitely hiding in the world, but accessibility, they're not going to pop up like,
correct,
like a dollar bin book that gets hot. It just isn't. It isn't accessible that way.
Or somebody's going to find a case of these bad boys somewhere.
It might be up under like a crate in like an antique shop, and like you got to go through a bunch of like old dirty magazines before you find this random comic.
And to find nice copies, there's basically been 3 collectors that have had high-end copies of this book. One was one that it got sold through eBay probably about 8 years ago. They call it the Palacio. One was the H&G, which was the publishing house that had basically file copies. And one was the collector of this one.
So no 9.8s, right?
No 9.8s. The 9.2 is by far the highest. There's an 8.5, a 7.5, and then you jump down to 4s.
What do you? Okay, so it's like almost like that, like the Italian Spider-Man 300, right? What do we think a 9.8 goes for? If that goes for 15,000,
this is not even in the same ballpark as that.
Yeah,
I mean the Spider-Man 300. There is a black 9.8 now. There's some 9.6s, I mean, there's sheer volume because that's from the 90s. This is from the 72?
Yeah.
1972. So I just talking different things. I don't know that you would compare the two.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there won't be a higher one, but I think it's going to be highly. I wouldn't bet on it one way or the other.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
Good stuff.
All right. So this one surprised me. I always see this cover, and it never does anything for me. It honestly shocked me that it went for almost $3K.
Yeah, me too. I the Golden Age YouTube. I mean, it's cool. Yeah, obviously he's getting burnt alive, which is or melting or whatever you want to call it. It's a cool cover, but like you said, it does nothing for me either.
I mean, it's Atlas. It is what it is. I was shocked to see that price. I always feel like it's always been like a third tier type book to me, and it feels like it's second tier pricing in the horror kind of supernatural stuff. So, a Ross Cerebus, don't see too many of these pop up. I mean,
I don't gamble on that.
No, I know.
It took Scotty a long time to sell his, man, when he had his.
I know, and then now they all jumped up again. So
one showed up in that collection that my LCS got, like a real one and a counterfeit one were both in that collection that came in.
Wow.
So
yeah, it's not what I chase. I appreciate it for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But I always like seeing them sell because they just don't pop up very often. They're tough. They're real tough. Oversized. They're a magazine size book. I mean, speaking of oversized, there's this one. I honestly almost bid on this, and I talked myself out of it. Tank Girl had a minute before COVID where it was really flying because I thought Margaret Robbie was going to do it, and now it's kind of.
I mean, I think she still is. I think we just, she just got done.
It's kind of got put on the side burner.
Yeah. I mean, there's just other projects that need to happen before that. Like that Amsterdam, which I think dropped last week. So, I mean, at this price, I wouldn't count it out. Like, I would grab it if it came up and hedge my bets that she would get around to it eventually, or somebody.
Yeah, I mean, this was a cheap price. They were floating, even raw mid-grade ones were floating closer to 500-600. This was a mid-3 when you factor in. Honestly, probably best time to buy with Great Britain. Their pound sucking.
This is true.
Good exchange rate. I honestly was going to bid and I got sidetracked with something else. So I thought it was a good sale. If any of you guys got it, it's a great grab. Beware, it's freaking massively tall and annoying to store, but
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Damn UK books.
Damn UK books. They weren't slabbable until the new magazine slab, honestly. It just didn't fit. This one is surprisingly not up. High on this grade was 6,100 in August 2021, and then 5,500 in July of this year. I mean, we're getting closer to a trailer, and it is sinking. So I'm aware the market's soft, but man, it's shockingly not strong.
I don't think people were. I think the people who would have been buyers were not as receptive to the reimagining of the character model as like ones would have hoped. Like the rest of the general population is super excited about it, and because they don't have any ties or personal investment in Namor. But let's be real about it, who really does? But there's people who just like to be like, they changed the character, blah, 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 blah. And those are the ones who would have been the ones buying this book. And so they didn't buy this book. So
yeah, I honestly thought it looked really good in the trailer.
I mean, yeah, like I personally, like I'm all for like updating. And I mean, Namor has not stayed looking the same even in the comics, but like it was too much of a deviation for some people. I mean,
and they gave him the wingy feet.
Yeah, they were flapping for Christ's sakes. But yeah, I mean, I think like this book was really selling at SDCC. Like they probably multiple copies changed hands right after they dropped that trailer. But I think once we got in the real world, people weren't willing to spend the money, or they had already kind of moved on to the next thing already. So
My brother should thank me. I traded for this when I was selling off some books so I could get some cash, and he wanted some illiquid books that I had. I sold when it was higher than it is now, so I'm fairly happy on that. Rarely do I say I sell higher than it is now.
Right.
Mark that down. One of the few times. This one threw me though. Whew. Dr. Doom got what, about 60% of a cover there. You do have the good part.
yeah.
But man, it is Sparkle City, so they got a lot of views. But
I mean, even outside of that though, these are moving pretty good. I mean,
yeah, they are.
Yeah. And for spoiler alert or potential spoiler alert, turn it off now if you don't want to hear this.
Oh boy.
All information points to the fact that the post-credit scene of Black Panther 2 is the intro of Doom.
Oh
boy.
So,
Sweet. Make it happen.
So this one popped up, and I thought it was a different one because there was one listed that was like loose staples and stuff, and I thought this was that one, and I got looking in the description, and it didn't describe it, nor did it show photos of it. So either it got relisted with a drastically different description, or it's a new copy. But that feels like a real good price for this book. I mean, it's not a 9.8, but it was nice enough for a really obscure book for Star Wars Disney's fans. So good grab to somebody. This is a book I love. I've sold a copy. I probably want to get back in on it, but Vandal Savage is a wild character. I always liked this cover. It makes me think of a Wolfman. I know it's not, but man,
I want one of these too.
He gets used to shit in animation, and I just don't know if it would translate well to live action. Of course, you got to get through 7,000 other DC characters to make it make sense. But man,
I mean, he's been in live action though. That's the thing. I mean, if we don't if you care about the Greg Berlanti CW stuff, yes, he was the first villain of the first season of Legends.
Yeah, it wasn't done great.
No, this is true. It was not, and like those only affect characters' values only so much, like those CW appearances. So
yeah, I mean, honestly, if you watch I keep on saying Justice, that's not right. Young Justice, I mean, he is a main villain throughout that entire thing, and they do a really good job with it, and they make it an interesting idea, and it's just one of those that, if done right, could be great. I don't know, but this book is impossible. We're talking early Green Lantern Series 1, tough book, bright colors, love it, and really price is sitting pretty stagnant from everything I've seen, and of DC.
I was going to say, that is DC across the board, unfortunately, because I hate to say it, but the speculator market is what is moving books as of late, or not even that. It's the possibility of people wanting to go buy and invest in a character that they thought was cool that they saw in film or television. But since DC can't get out of their own way, nobody's going and buying those books. It shouldn't be impossible to move a Jon Stewart book in high grade, but you can't sell them. We also got some people asking questions in the chat of who exactly has been cast. From everything I've heard, is basically they're pulling a Thanos first appearance where he's in the suit, you don't know who it is, the voice is augmented, but he's the puppet master of the events of Black Panther 2. So
just enough of a cameo to show you he exists.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
I know we keep talking GSX1, but yeah, 8K down from its high in
this
June 2021 of 17.5.
Yeah, this is so painful.
January it was at 9,600, so it's still. Whew.
Okay, so for me, is this a guy who got it for $700 back in the day and traded in for $8,000, or is this guy who bought it for $9 and sold it for $8?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Could go either way.
I mean,
I've people that just got to sell right now.
I've seen both sides of it. I traded one away and probably took a little bit of a loss on just because I had so many of them for a book that I thought had more upside that I actually just posted on eBay finally. But I took probably a $500 hit on the copy that I acquired.
That isn't bad.
No, I tried to make sure I was at least smart about it. When I started to see it slip, I was just like, and time to get rid of one. I was like, I mean, I'm definitely a little bit lesser on one of my copies, but not terribly much. And it's a high enough grade that if it rebounds, it'll be the one to rebound the most. So it is what it is.
I snapped this one. As soon as I snapped it, I realized who it was. So I just wanted to share, and he didn't show up today. So Big Sean sold this bad boy.
Nice.
Do love this cover. One of the best of the run. And yeah. Sorry, Sean. Too bad you're out and about.
It's okay.
Nice looking 2.0 Jim 83. This one's not doing too bad. I mean, March it did have a 9K sale for a 2.0, but these low grade Silver Age, you don't know how much different it presented. So, grand scheme of things, it's down a bit, but it's not down enough that it couldn't just be eye appeal or other things. So, I think some of these books are holding better just because there's not a ton of spec left. They're just now moved to the key status.
Yeah, it's funny it took film doing that to make this book matter.
Truth. I do miss. I sold one of these long ago. Maybe I'll go back and buy it now that it's kind of stabilized. Don't see these in 9.8 very often. The old Comico Macross #1.
I could find those for like $10 back in the day. Remember Z?
Oh, you still can find them for $10, $20. They'll sell all day for that price. But this is one of the books. The spread between a 9.6 and a 9.8 is huge. Like 9.6, I think is still $100, $200 tops, whereas the 9.8 pops. High sale was February, had a 2K. Most of them have been floating in this 12 to 14. Not that there's been a bunch. I mean, I think there's 5 in the last year, with the 2K being the outlier. This is one of those properties that everybody's always kind of watching. So I don't know if it'll actually ever go anywhere, but it's one of those that some studio, some streaming service may take a flyer on at some point. But if nothing else, it's got a strong nostalgia. Couple of horror books that caught my eye. I really like this Mr. Mystery. I've never actually paid attention to it before. Even on all the vintage voyages, it never caught my eye for some reason. But this one today, just kind of wild.
I swear to God, this shit looks like something made in like the late 80s.
It does.
Like them boobs are popping.
So, spoiler. The new Dahmer series in Netflix, he talks about a comic book. If you haven't watched it, it's really good. He talks about he saw this out of Weird Tales. Like that's how he came to cannibalism and murdering. Like an old comic book is like Weird Tales, and he says something. He doesn't give a comic issue, but it's interesting.
Dang.
I've never mentally caught this one. I mean, her face is janked, but yeah, it is a lot more suggestive than most of them you see in that era. I mean, there's a lot of red dresses and that kind of stuff, but this one was highly suggestive. A lot of colors going on, so I don't know. It just never caught my eye, and this copy did. So thought I'd share.
I freaking love this.
Right?
Damn.
I know I've went through the Mr. Mystery run. I don't know how many times, and it just never catches. And today I was like, damn. This is one of those books that 9.8 of the Matina. It has had a long and jumping life all around the world. Let's see. In September of this year, on the 18th, so a little over a month ago, one sold for $1,400. So somebody got about a 60% discount on that. January, one sold for $600. It's been all over the place. Way back in 2017, when Matina was the man that everybody was watching, it was $1,800.
Yep.
And then there was the whole sketching scandal and up and down in DC. So I mean, it's been as low as $350, $400 in the last couple of years, and it's kind of rebounded a bit. So I don't know. I think it's just one of those books is still scarce. It's from the 2010 range, 2010, right?
Yep.
So those are just some of the tougher early variants. Great work. It just is one of those that it's gonna be a bumpy ride, up and down, man. Nemora, don't see a lot of these guys in general, and this is a decent looking copy. Another Blizzard sale. I guess
This
if
dude has
Neymar,
this dude has like every book imaginable.
he does. If Neymar had a little bit of excitement, maybe we'd get a little more for Nemora, but just kind of, we'll see. Can't go wrong with the timely books, but it's just you don't see a lot of the Nemoras in general. So I don't want to talk about Saga. This was one I like. First Ghost Rider, the original Ghost Rider, Tim Holt 11, Carter. Oh, now I'm blanking. Carter. Carter something. He's.
I know who you're talking about. I know
Carter Slade. Carter.
Yeah, yeah.
He appears as the cowboy in the original Nick Cage movie too, but this is it. You know, highly collectible, tough to find, and a lot of people would just skip right over it. Still selling really strong. I mean, a couple years ago, this was a $500-$600 book. So people, you know, Ghost Rider fans continue to look for new things because a lot of them have the Bronze Age stuff. So let's hunt down the crazy stuff. You got this. You got some of the Frazetta covers from the Ghost Rider run. So the people that are true Ghost Rider completionists kind of keep moving into the more obscure. So
Nico had a copy, and I can't believe I didn't buy it from him.
I think I had a 5.0 at one point that I got bored of and moved. Some of those things I wish I didn't get bored of.
Yeah, we got somebody in the comments.
Sometimes that you get over the thrill.
Yeah,
you have that thrill, and then you're just like, okay, it's on to the next one.
Yeah. I was gonna say somebody in the comments is asking that we talk about Saga.
I didn't have any to say. It was just a sale, $400, back down again. I can show it. I just, it was climbing.
Yeah,
5, 6, and now we're back to kind of where it settled a few years ago.
I mean, it was a $700 book over not this past summer, but the previous summer. So yeah.
I mean, it's kind of moved back to where it's lived for the last couple of years before that. So. Here's one that surprised me. I think I've shown another 8.0 in the last bit. Actually, probably was May.
This is the P-Dub book. Paul loves this book.
It's tough in high grade. Don't see many sales. I mean, 8's one of the highest sales you actually see occur at all. 9.8. Oh, I think there's a 9.8 was $40K, but it was like more than a decade ago. Like there just aren't any, or they don't change hands either. Whatever you want to go with. This is actually an all-time high. So something is all-time high just because maybe, Star Trek fans just steadily grow versus being spec cycles. I don't know. But May of this year it was 1,600. You've now got a nice $600 bump upon that. So nice strong sale. Most of these you see are 4s or somewhere in that range. They're beat. They always talk that there's 2 versions of the cover. I think that's a wives' tale. The photo back. I don't think there's a different back. I don't know why they say that. I've read contradicting stories, and you see even on the CGC census 2 different versions listed, but I've never actually seen evidence of 2 different versions. So somebody can show me it. I'd love to see it because I don't understand it. We talked about Miles the other day in the 8.0, but again, the 9.4 is also down a bit. I mean, this is a CBCS, so God knows they don't count, but not a strong sale on it. 2 more here.
Vampires and at least an Adventures if you want to. Okay.
Vampire. This was just a comment on being careful when you spec real deep the Satana. That show did actually air, that Hellstrom, or am I making that up? It aired, right? On Hulu?
Yes. I think
everybody blinked and missed it.
It did happen.
But I mean, this book at one point was about $600 for this grade. It's now $300. And, God knows if you'll have life again. Who knows? Maybe with Midnight Suns, but You're treading real deep to get there.
That is a gorgeous book, though, for 9.0. I mean, looks great.
It's a pretty book. I flipped through a bunch of them. I mean, magazines are there's some gold in them bins, but you got to know what you're looking for. But
I love the waviness of the label.
Yeah, well, magazine labels, my friend. Magazine labels. They look like shit most of the time.
True story.
I don't know. I think I clipped this one and I didn't actually have any purpose. I mean,
we're back down to pre-pandemic prices for this book now.
Where did it top at?
Jesus.
A grand? 12?
Yeah, I think it was more than a grand. I mean, there was a point when you struggled to get a 9.6 for a grand. Let's see, the GPA.
I meant to look, and I think I just got disinterested.
I got you. Young Avengers 1.
Maybe it hit 14.
And a 9.8. If this thing ever loads, it capped out at, I want to say, 1,600.
Damn.
Yeah. So yeah, this was a $1,600. I mean, it was $1,000 book just this year.
It's interesting because like you never really saw all of them. You saw some of them. So did people just decide it's not happening?
I think what happened is that like you could only afford to have. I mean, it's the same reason why we started seeing like the reason why books that are a thing or going to happen start to slip is because people got into them who couldn't afford to have something worth that much just sitting in a box. Like they couldn't wait it out. And so somebody was like, this person's asking $1,600 for their book. I'll take 12. And then the next person says, I'll take 11. I'll take 1,000. I'll take 900. I've only got like $300 into this book or $100 into this book.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happens is that like you can only, that's what always happens. Everything eventually slips. It's just, even with a sure thing, people can't have, an asset like, or a box full of assets that are worth $1,600 for that long and not go, I'd much rather have the money. So
I also think maybe the whole idea of the team fell apart as they've kind of morphed them into different things. You've got, Kate's doing something and you got different people at different places. I just don't know if all these characters there was a lot more signs something was going to happen than there are right now. And it feels like it's punted down the field a lot longer away than people have patience for.
I mean, except I think it's still absolutely going to happen. And because there are still slots that are not named in the there's gaps. If you look at the entire timeline of this phase, there's holes. And you wouldn't go through the effort of introducing all these young characters who like clearly are not going to be like the focal point of like their own movie anytime soon. You wouldn't bother introducing the entire roster of either volume 1 or volume 2 without this happening and becoming a thing. So, I mean, it's just,
what if they morph into the champions or the, whatever else they want to do?
I mean, it's possible. I mean, the same way that like, it was a toss up between Dark Avengers and the Thunderbolts, and ultimately the Thunderbolts ended up being the route they went. But I still think that like, the reason I say this also is because remember that like everything that has been stated as somebody wanted to do it, even though it was like 4 or 5 years ago, was when we first started hearing whispers and murmurs about Young Avengers. I don't remember what else was happening at that time, but I think actually that might have been about the same time that we started hearing Thunderbolts rumors as well. Like all that stuff has come to fruition. Like everything that was in that, like insider says that they're bouncing around the idea of this thing. It just took forever to get here. But yeah, I think it's still like Feige has mentioned that he has wanted to do these things and they have all seemingly shown up eventually. And I think they've laid too much of the groundwork with every single one of those characters, with the exception of Hulkling, has been shown now at this point. And, well, Hulkling and Iron Lad, but the ability for Iron Lad to exist has been introduced. So yeah, I think that you don't lay that groundwork without being like, we're going to do a Young Avengers team. So
Fair enough.
I mean, whatever. I got $500 into my copies. Like,
You can still get out right now. You're fine.
exactly, and I'll be fine. So, but I mean, I'm hedging my bet and I'm waiting. I feel like this is that's one of those ones where it's like you can't have a book with that many first appearances and not have. I mean, Giant Size would tell you otherwise, but you can't. You typically can't have that many first appearances in a book and not have it be worth something.
Well, I mean, Giant Size is worth a lot. It overperformed for a while. It premature hit.
Well, yeah, because everybody thought that like, oh, we're gonna have X-Men in the next 2 years, and it's like, nah, we probably won't have X-Men until like phase 6 or 7.
People thought we had X-Men like already.
Yeah, already. I was going to say.
I mean, we keep bringing this up. People were, there were people in groups who were mortgaging against their house, being like, "Oh man, X-Men! Like, let me get one of these X-Men ones before." And it's like, "Oh shit, I mortgaged my house, and we have not heard hide or hair of the X-Men until this week."
Yeah, YOLO, man. Wall Street bets. I like it.
Mortgage my house, and now the freaking rates are going up to 6%.
Let's go.
That HELOC is getting expensive.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I got.
Okay. Well, I know Mr. Colbert. He can do some advertising. Let's go.
I'll mention pickups and then also go into like some advertising. So again, shout outs to Infinite Realities here in Atlanta. Like that collection just keeps on giving. Got a little Destroyer Duck action.
Nice.
And a clean copy. I mean, like the ticks in it are non-color breaking for the most part. Like it's clean. It's the cleanest copy I've ever seen. And I give two shits about Destroyer Duck or Gru, but whatever.
People like it.
Yeah, but it can't turn something like that down. And I was able to trade away some books to get some store credit and put some cash up to acquire this guy. So it looks like me and Mercer not had the same idea of the weekend, except his is a little bit nicer than mine because his is a newsstand and mine is not.
You got a newsie? Yeah,
Mercer got a newsie, but I was not able to. Mine's just a lowly direct copy, but
just throw it back.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm buying Star Wars. I'm a buyer on Heir to the Empire. I'm buyer on first, anything that is going to eventually pay off in the next year or two. Star Wars, I'm definitely a buyer because they're on the downslope down.
You gonna buy my newsie for Heir to the Empire?
I think there's going to be some interesting buying opportunities the next 3 months. I mean, we always have the holiday lull.
Yeah.
You add that with people worrying about the economy and if jobs really start going, there's going to be some interesting buying.
You buy mid I call it mid grade because it's a modern like a 9.0 newsstand Heir to the Empire one.
Actually, I've been buying 9.4 and 9.6s newsstands.
Okay.
So that's what I've been buying. But yeah, if
I got a 9.0 raw.
Yeah, I can't go that low. But if it was a 9.4 or 9.6 newsstand, I'm probably a buyer on it. So So. Oh, and then the thing that is the self promotion bullshit is I've got 15 99-cent auctions that started yesterday and another 2 that started tonight of a bunch of 9.8s of keys and things like that. I just got way too many slaps at this point, and I've got another 100 on their way back from CGC as we speak. So I got to get things going before I run out of space to move in this room. So
make it popping.
Yeah, so check out my eBay store at Colbert's Comics and make some offers or just bid on the 99-cent stuff and see. I mean, there's Black Panther keys in there. There is all kinds of just random stuff. So if it's something that strikes your fancy, throw in a bid. So
cool. Who's next?
I got nothing this week.
I got nothing because I was on vacation.
I got something. I was at some show. It was kind of at a flea market, right? And, and I was looking at a box of Star Wars, and it was weird because the stuff that was in there that was priced was appropriately priced.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because they had a Thrawn 1 animation cover for $100. You know what I mean? It's appropriately priced stuff. And then you come across something like this. So you have a Clone Wars 1 newsstand.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like, oh, there's no price on it. Oh, shoot me an offer. And I'm like,
low
fucking
ball.
seriously. And so I'm just like, okay, what do I do? What are we doing here? What's the number? What's the number? 200. And I'm just hemming and hawing for like at least 2 minutes. And I'm like, okay, 200. And he's like, okay. And I'm like, fuck, I could have offered 100. You probably would have took it.
You could have offered 5. You might have fucking took it. You don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you still won. You still won.
So we got a newsie, and this thing. Okay, so I've got a 9.0 of this, and I think this looks pretty much on par with a 9.0. So
nice.
I'd be happy with that. So we got another newsie to the family.
Nice. There you go.
That's what I got.
Go. Good stuff, man. Thank you. That's it. All right. Well, let's see. We got VHS shows on Sunday now. What else we got? Bird on Wednesday. Hopefully, we have a new comic book shop talk on Saturday. What else do we got? I don't know. People might do more content. Hit me up. Maybe we can do more shows. Just thinking about what else we got to do. Me and Cutter are going to do a wrestling / New Jack City play review. It's gonna be great. What else we got? Anybody else got anything? What's going on locally around you boys? Anything? Nothing?
No. So not this. I mean, of course, there's, NYCC is happening this weekend. So most other local small cons have enough sense not to go head to head with that. But actually, no, I take that back. So we actually have, it ain't my con. But I will mention it that the one-day con in Atlanta is happening this weekend. If I get back from Orlando in time, I will probably show up there with way too big of books for the room. But I'll give it a shot and see what happens. Maybe somebody's
try working some magic.
Yeah, somebody might be feeling froggy, might try to jump. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so if I can get back in time, I'll probably slip in there and see what I can pick up or trade my way into.
Cool. All right, guys. Without that, this is it. This is a show. Basically, hit us back up. I don't know. Leave a comment if you like the show. Tell your friends. Subscribe. Do all the good stuff. And we'll catch everybody later. Deuce.